Insurance, let's be honest, it's a third language.
Mhm. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Connected Conversations in Insurance. My name is Nick Berry, the Demand Gen Marketing Manager at Canopy Connect. Today, I've got Austin Moorhead from Lava Automation joining me. Austin, why don't you give yourself a quick intro and we'll get into it.
Hi, everybody. Austin Moorhead, like Nick said, founder, CEO of Lava Automation. I started this in 2018, had a passion for helping insurance agencies, and to this day, we still are very passionate about helping insurance agencies. Love to see what we can do to make your guys' days easier.
Yeah. So the whole reason I wanted to bring you on was you have two sides of your business. You have the automation side of the business, which is awesome, but you also have the virtual assistant side of your business. And I think there's still a lot of misconceptions about that entire industry in this system. And then I think a lot of agents have a lot of misconceptions about what it looks like bringing on a VA and what they're going to be doing in the agency and what they can and can't do, especially from the perspective of the offshore out of the United States side of things. So what does a virtual assistant look like in an agency that works with you?
That works with us. I always like to kind of kid, I'm VA number one. Virtual assistant is someone who is remote, that works for you potentially. But I think in this context, we're talking about offshore staff. And, it's someone who's going to report to your business virtually 9 to 5 via Zoom, Teams, etc. And they're going to perform duties typically that are unlicensed. And the reason that we do it is for scale of, financials. We probably don't want to spend $25 an hour for some tasks, and virtual assistants become kind of the key to avoid overspending to, do some basic stuff.
When agents even start the consideration of hiring a VA, where do you see they really struggle with?
I think it's creating the workflows to pass the work back and forth between the US side and the offshore side. It's like, okay, this person owned this process from start to finish in the past. And now I got to pull parts of that process out and get it overseas and then make sure it's done right and bring it back. And like that whole, how do we break up this big workflow into many pieces
Hmm.
is where they struggle.
Okay. And I honestly don't know. I've got experience with one other company in the past, but what's it look like working with you guys when it comes to that? How many agents come to you and go, "This is how we do business. How can Lava fit into that?"
Yeah, I mean, we probably get 100-ish leads a month, people wanting to have that conversation with us. The process to getting started, I think one is going through a bunch of Q&A, seeing if you're a right fit, seeing if you align with us philosophically and whatnot and how we're going to operate. The next step is making a candidate selection.
Mhm.
We bring 5 candidates to the interview room and you get to pick between them. We lead the interviews, and our goal is to make sure you don't hire potentially a bad person because we're going to be the ones replacing them down the road.
Yeah.
But I think another thing that a lot of people kind of struggle with is, what if we don't know if you made a good hire until sometimes 2 to 4 weeks later, really.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. It's like, okay, you were great in the interview. You were phenomenal in the interviews, but then all of a sudden, like rubber meets the road and you're 5 minutes late every other day. You're,
Yeah.
maybe asking a million questions and we've told you 15 times, it's just not clicking. And so we try to make this part of the process super non-stressful for agencies. We encourage them to replace as much and as frequently as they want to
Mhm.
because we get 4,000 applications every single month.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of people when they hire settle.
This
They just go, "Ugh, I know this person." Hiring is
is
hard. I think the whole virtual assistant remote offshore employee thing is working with organization or a company that does it, like, that's your job. You
Yeah.
guys are good at like, the whole recruitment and attraction and filtering.
When we meet people sometimes who try to circumvent the vendors, they meet 5 candidates
Mhm.
and they pick one, settle, right?
Yep.
And then because that whole process was exhausting and their day job is selling insurance and managing an insurance agency, like, "Oh, I don't wanna go and derail that every 5, 6 weeks because, we made a bad hire.
Yeah.
Settle." Yeah, don't do it. Go get a vendor. We're gonna take care of you guys. It's our job to, get a ton of candidates and find the best ones.
Yeah. This is and yeah, have an honest conversation with you. You guys are a hiring partner, become a hiring
Yeah.
partner in the agency. Have a frank and honest conversation with you and be like, "This isn't working."
Yeah, I mean, if it comes down to that, which we see it, but it's maybe less than 10% of the time where you're replacing in the first year. It's not common, but it happens.
Yeah.
Don't
Now
be
let's
naive, right?
yeah. Now, I think we all know how I feel about remote work. And
I'm assuming you love it because, like, I feel like you're, like, the most remotiest.
yeah, yeah, like, I let's talk about agencies, how and I just had this conversation with an agency owner yesterday. He was asking me, "How do you manage being remote?" And I said, "Well, I have, for me, I have a dedicated workspace. I couldn't when we all went home after COVID, I couldn't do it on my couch. I can't do my job on a laptop. I have a
Yeah.
decent sized laptop. I couldn't do my job on a laptop. I had to have a dedicated space. When we went home, my wife and I, we scrounged and like I turned a sofa table into my desk for a few weeks, but I had to have a dedicated space to go to. Now, talk about when agencies are hiring through Lava. What do you guys look for that? Do you guys have an office? Do you guys bring people in? Do you have remote people? How does that work?
Yeah, we actually have 2 locations in the Philippines, and our clients get the choice of keeping the virtual assistant permanently in the office
Mhm,
or allowing them to work from home. I'd say 90% of our clients allow the VAs to work from home.
mhm,
When you understand the culture in the Philippines, specifically the commute times and how desirable it is to work from home, we're pretty sympathetic to their plight. The only issue Lava has is, do you have a dedicated workspace? Can you have the lights on in your office or bedroom
mhm,
for 8 hours during shift because you're on shift?
mhm.
And so these are things that we vet before a virtual assistant could go to work from home.
Yeah. Right.
We're at work.
Yeah. So when they start out, are they starting out in the office and then once they get everything, make sure that they've got the good workflows and good work ethic and everything?
Yeah, so minimum of 30 days at the office, and then with Lava, you get a US account manager that's gonna meet with you and kind of help create a blueprint on the VA side to, like, figure out their core tasks, and they're actually not allowed to go work from home until, like, they can prove the competency in those core tasks,
Mhm,
and so while they're at the office, we've got in-house trainers, there's a ton of modules they go through, we've got, gosh, I don't know, probably 40 hours of courses they could take. And so we're kind of like hand in hand with the agencies, training them to kind of get them off the ground, get them understanding because it's pretty overwhelming to, one being in a foreign country and having to kind of like work with Americans who are very aggressive and assertive, and two, insurance. Let's be honest, it's a third language,
mhm.
right? And so you're bringing foreign culture plus a new concept into this person's life, and you let them work at home on day one. No way. So they need the support of an in-house operation to get off the ground.
Yeah. I like that. I like that approach. I had a thought and it just went off into the world.
Uh,
That's
so
all
tech
good.
is for if we could just plug the AI chips in, just read them, jot them down,
Give me my
compartmentalize them for later.
give me that neural link.
Yeah.
But, it was around that idea of what I understand from previous roles, so many agencies just be like, "Hey, this is the way we do business. This is the way we do business. It can't change."
Yeah.
How often do you see that?
It's common, right? You think that maybe in like the forefront of the insurance, broker channel, it seems like everybody has been talking about this for 5 years, but we still find organizations on file cabinets,
Mhm.
people that aren't on social media, that aren't part of the forums, that have booming operations. They're very, it's oftentimes these types of people are more networky than they are desk driven organizations. Some people just don't like computers, it's like, but they can make a good business
Yeah.
being out in the field. And so those type of organizations, I think the first hurdle they have to overcome. In fact, I was met with them one yesterday. It was a $18 million agency. No one knew how to use Zoom.
Oh, no.
And it only been open for, they weren't like a second generation of operations. I mean, they'd been created in the last, 10, 15, the most powerful tool in your organization. And I always recommend that even if you have a brick and mortar operation, everybody comes into work, when you do your meetings, do them on Zoom, because the beauty of Zoom is that you can share screens instead of going to a conference room saying, "Hey, what's that spreadsheet say?"
Yeah.
No, we can just pull it up. We can look at it. We can talk about it as a group.
We did that. So Canopy just had our offsite in November, and we were in this big conference room. We started off the day, whole team, entire company at these big long tables. And they were like, instead of me projecting the screen, and I'm like, I'm an old man. I can't see that crap
Yeah,
anyways. Yeah. So somebody said, "Hey, how about we just use Zoom? Uh,
sure.
why don't we just use Zoom and just screen share?" And
Yeah,
we got the opportunity. So
nice.
we have recordings of all of those sessions of the team working together and talking. And like, if you like, we just said, if you were going to say something, just unmute your mic, say it. So yeah, I would be doing that internally.
Yeah.
Google
So we
Meet,
actually did that for
Teams,
fall
both.
planning. Everybody flew in and we all had our laptops. We had Zoom, but yeah, we were taking turns with the mic. There's this new tool out there called an out of it's new, but it's great for conference meetings when you have a mix of in person and out of office people joining. And it's got this 360-degree camera and it zooms in on whoever's talking, but then keeps everybody else in the frame.
Yeah,
So it makes the remote people feel like they're part of the meeting.
yeah, yeah. That'd be pretty cool too.
Yeah, an owl.
Owl?
OWL.
That makes
They're like $1,000, but
yeah,
they're super cool if that's your style.
yeah. Hmm. I'll have to bring that up next for our next offsite.
Yeah.
Cool. Now, let's talk about day to day. Like, what's it look like for an agency working with somebody who's never had remote offshore, remote staff? What's it look like day to day? What are they? How are the most successful agencies interacting with their staff?
I always like to say, don't treat them like mushrooms. You can't put them in the closet and feed them shit.
Hmm.
That's not how people grow. And it's a scale of, 0 to 100. And I recommend that you are going to get more out of it the more time you spend on Zoom with them. And
Hmm.
so if are meeting with them once every other week, you're going to get nothing out of it. But if you're meeting with them daily for an hour or two, like it's going to blossom
Hmm.
massively. But on day one, the day to day operations look very different than on day 90. On day one, we're going through the basics. We're hopping on, we're introducing them to websites they've never seen, we're having them drive, we're explaining what every field is as we go through the process. Hey, open up PL Radar, click on that first tab. Okay, it says put in this information, go ahead, type it in. And some of it they're going to instantly be it's intuitive. They'll just go, okay, fill it out. And then you kind of give them some leeway to go do 10 or 20 more of those type of activities. And you come back and check with them. And you look at their work, you inspect their work, and you go, oh, hey, you missed this, or you interpreted that incorrectly, or maybe you just didn't even fill it in because you didn't know. And then you give that feedback, and then you let them go do 20 more of those activities.
Hmm.
And then you'll notice, just like with anybody, right? You only got to tell them a few times before they kind of pick it up. In the military, we say 17. So just different caliber of people, I guess, are in corporate America versus the U.S. Army.
Yeah, same in the Air Force.
Uh, there should be some expectation of repeating yourself
Yeah,
and being patient, but ultimately sharing screens and like reviewing the work as it's being made is the
yeah.
kind of the quickest way to train.
I know what my thought was now. It was when, people have to remember hiring a virtual assistant, hiring a remote offshore staff. These are often younger people. Imagine hiring a 22-year-old in America who's
Yeah.
lived with their parents their entire life, doesn't know anything about insurance, and you're trying to teach a green, off the street person insurance. It's
Yeah.
they're just they're in Manila and they're in the
Yeah.
Philippines versus being in Main Street America. They're still 23-year-old
Honestly,
kids.
I take a 22-year-old Filipino over a 22-year-old
Oh, yeah,
American.
too.
The work ethic
Yeah, it's different,
is unparalleled, man.
right? But, I mean, just imagine, like, I've told agents before, I'm like, "It's just like hiring a 23-year-old off the street here." They
And you
have
only have
no
that much
idea.
experience.
I'd rather have the same in marketing. I don't wanna hire somebody with 20 years of marketing experience because they're gonna have so many bad habits. I want somebody that's maybe good at Excel, good at Microsoft Office
Adobe or
tools,
something.
Adobe, stuff like that, and then go, "Okay, you can learn that. We can teach you the insurance stuff."
Yeah, good times. I was having this thought the other day about what it looks like after, year one with some of these guys versus like their 90th day. And it's like we see these agencies when they have that aha moment.
Mhm.
We're like, okay, we found our rhythm with the VA, the first one, or maybe you hire two at a time or something. We found that rhythm. And it's like all of a sudden the light bulb goes off and they go, oh my God, we could put them in 100 places. And they start to do that. And it's like, those are the agencies that we watch kind of springboard into the next evolution of growth. So
Yeah,
when they have that aha moment and they go, okay, we can put them everywhere.
yeah. I remember when I met one of the other company founders the first time, and he was telling me what he was doing. I'm like, "That's genius to do this." I just know the economics of hiring in the United States, especially for unlicensed work, because you eventually need, if they're a US-based employee, they might as well be licensed. Well, at that point, they need to be focusing on licensed, profitable activities, not
Yeah.
the unlicensed activities that are maybe, not worth, and it's not that they're worthy of their salary, but it's like, what's the cost benefit analysis on that? What they're
Yeah.
doing versus what you could be doing with somebody who's making,
I mean,
not much.
if you got a license, it was to talk about coverages and provide sophisticated advice.
Yep,
And if you're not doing that and 80% of your day is, filling out paperwork,
yep,
like, well, then you're not using your license, in my mind. Well, you got to pass the paperwork.
yep. The data entry, the data editing, all the day-to-day
CRM
mundane stuff.
management, the form fixing, and because there's a million little things, and you're constantly changing. Your organization's like a living, breathing, right? Like
Mhm.
we build out a CRM today, and we've got like this blueprint for like how we want it to run, and a week later we're making tweaks.
Oh, that didn't work at all.
Yeah, we're making tweaks, and a year later we're still making tweaks. And if you didn't make little tweaks, it's
Yep,
like, are you really trying to do the best for one, your users, and two, your clients? You got to make changes to it. And so, who does those tweaks?
yeah,
Yeah, a VA.
yeah. I know agencies who are using VAs for their entire operations team. Everything in the operations side of the business is being done by remote
Sure.
staff.
Yeah, we see it.
So, I do have any resources or suggestions for agencies who are considering starting to hire remote and then just need to start figuring out documenting how they do their job.
There's a couple. What is it? Is it Tango? Is like a tool that can kind of help you create some workflows.
Mhm,
EOS always says, copy 20%, write down 20% of the material that gets 80% of the job explained.
mhm.
Some people get paralysis by analysis. Just get out the 20% of the information that helps you understand 80% of the job.
Yeah,
And that sometimes can save you hundreds of hours.
yep,
Give little instructions that mean big things.
yeah,
So we see people kind of get stuck in like trying to like create workflows prior to bringing the VAs on.
mhm,
And then selfishly, we're the best resource because we bring in hundreds of agencies.
mhm.
We've brought them through this equation, hundreds of times. We can help you, create the processes because we see what every other agency does.
Yeah, yeah, I they lean on you, right?
Yeah.
You know, hopefully we get that clipped out that
It helps. I mean, you need a partner in the space,
yep.
quite frankly, because you might have 100 good ideas, but we've got 10,000 good ideas because that's all we do is our space.
Yeah, I do have a tip if you are gonna use Tango, this is what I do. I open the Tango, and for anybody who doesn't know what Tango is, basically it's a tool where when you're doing anything in a browser, actually they have a desktop app now too. So if you're doing a task, basically you open up Tango, and what I do is I open up Loom and record a Loom at the same time. So I go through and do the thing that I want Tango to record, and now I've got the written visual version, and that I also have a video version, because if you send me a 72 step process, I'm gonna not read it. Give me
Yeah.
the video. And
Uh-huh.
everybody learns
I'll
differently.
get through step 3 and quit.
Yeah, like, nope, so
Yeah, that's actually pretty clever. I haven't thought about that. Add the zoom to it too.
Loom's, even the free version, you can record up to a 5-minute video, and I would say the tasks that you're doing should be on you that's a good practice of make these documented tasks under 5-minute length.
Yeah. Period.
Period.
Ever.
Yep.
Yeah, we have a massive library for our course, and
Mhm.
I told the team, "If you make anything longer than 5 minutes, I'm gonna veto it. I don't care how good it is."
Yeah. Yeah, I even each step takes less than 5 minutes. It's
Yeah,
maybe 30 different things to put an
sure.
ad campaign together, but each step of the process is less than 5 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, people's attention span to watch long videos and somehow then go apply that to a process. It's like, well, was it on minute, 2 or minute 15? And then you spend half your day just clicking through the video trying to find the spot again.
Yep. Well, cool. Anything else you wanna tell people about virtual assistants and, remote hiring?
At Lava, we're constantly working at improving the process for our companies.
Mhm.
We've got a couple of products. We're about to release a new one. Well, not about to. We've released it actually officially as of a few weeks ago. TurboDial is our telephone that we've been working on for a few years. It's connected to AgencyZoom and it is zinging. And so maybe in the VA space, how TurboDial could help you is, you need to have, remote staff sometimes answering your phones. We've got a sweet solution now that's come out that organizations are totally in love with. So this is version 2, TurboDial. Yeah.
A TurboDial, okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, we'll link to that. We'll link out to Lava Automation for anybody who wants to learn more about Dual Assistants and everything else you guys do on the automation side of the business. I really appreciate you taking 30 minutes out of your morning. I know you're out on the West Coast and it's an earlier morning than me. So I appreciate it. Any closing thoughts?
Let's get it and go. I always think that it's time to get to work. That's it. Let's just go.
Yeah.